Apple had a lot to talk about at WWDC this year. Not only showing off what they can do with AI, but also some quality of life improvements for the iPhone. And for pro filmmakers, they even announced a new camera format coming from Blackmagic Design. But let's start with my reaction to the most exciting stuff. In a very Apple-y move, they branded AI as Apple Intelligence. This appeals to me as a funny play on words, but it's also practical when we're talking about features that are built by Apple with their stamp of approval compared to plugging in third parties like ChatGPT. And anytime I start talking to anybody about AI, I like to point out that it's basically a buzzword that applies to a bunch of different types of technology like machine learning. It's sort of like when PCs got popular, if you would refer to computing in the same way as AI, like, did you create that using computing? I haven't thought that analogy all the way through. But that's just to say that like AI doesn't mean a very specific thing. It's a few different computing techniques that come together to give the impression of the computer having intelligence. So the way that Apple's going about this is they've developed a bunch of their own smaller models. Apparently there's already 200 different machine learning models running little things like spell check on the iPhone previously, but now there is a dedicated Apple LLM. It runs on your iPhone, so it is secure. It's not sending any data anywhere, and that's going to take care of everything it can. Then when needed, it's going to also send data up to Apple servers in the cloud to do additional processing if you want to do something more complicated. Then, separate from their own cloud processing, Apple has also integrated ChatGPT 4o throughout the system with no additional cost to the users, and it runs almost like a plugin. And Apple even said that eventually there will be other models available like Google Gemini, or eventually specialized models for, say, medical applications or creative writing or music. But Apple will be using their own model for all the features that work with your personal data on the phone. Now, there are some features in there that I think are really exciting. So check out this one specific Siri demo. It's about a minute long, and I found this to be the best example of how I think AI is going to be very, very useful on iPhones in the near future.
Imagine that I'm planning to pick my mom up from the airport, and I'm trying to figure out my timing. Siri is going to be able to help me do this so easily. Siri, when is my mom's flight landing? What's awesome is that Siri actually cross-references flight details that my mom shared with me by email with real-time flight tracking to give me her up-to-date arrival time. What's our lunch plan? I don't always remember to add things to my calendar, and so I love that Siri can help me keep track of plans that I've made in casual conversation, like this lunch reservation my mom mentioned in a text. How long will it take us to get there from the airport? I haven't had to jump from mail to messages to maps to figure out this plan. And a set of tasks that would have taken minutes on my own, and honestly probably would have resulted in a call to my mom, could be addressed in a matter of seconds. That's just a glimpse of the ways in which Siri is going to become more powerful. And
this is what AI is good at, is summarizing data, bringing together different points, doing research. I like it for that, and I don't love it for generative stuff. Apple did get into some generative AI, though. I was surprised how far they went. There's an app called Image Playground where you're able to create fun, kind of silly little AI images in a few different styles. I do like that they are instantly identifiable as generated by a computer. You won't mistake them for photos. But overall, I don't feel that confident about where AI is right now for generating content or like speaking for us. And those features are in there too. Like in email, you could type out your basic intention and select it all and ask Apple Intelligence to rewrite it for you. I know everybody sees this and thinks it's useful. I don't love the idea of receiving email from computers rather than the person that was supposed to be sending me the email. I know everybody else is doing this, so there's obviously pressure on Apple to keep up and release what the industry is expecting of them. I just don't think we're really going to understand all these applications for at least another year or two, and I don't mind stepping into them kind of slowly. They also introduced object removal in Photos. This looks like kind of the automatic version, similar to what we've seen in Google. So the way that I work, I'm still going to be using Lightroom and Photoshop to be doing that because I need more elaborate tools, but this means everybody has access to that. And again, I'm not really sure that's ideal. I kind of liked the idea of that if a photo is taken with an iPhone, it's like, well, that's probably a real photo. I don't know. I'm using generative fill for a lot of things. I like AI as a tool. We just got to kind of figure out like where are these boundaries about understanding the origin or the creation methods of a specific tool. And Apple decided they're just jumping in with both feet. But they have some really powerful photo applications like being able to do very complex search strings, like I'm looking for photos of Anya when she was wearing a pink dress with a blue umbrella and we were in New York, and show me 20 photos of that, now create a slideshow. And you can really drill down on exactly what you're looking for. And because it understands natural language, it will actually give you useful results. That's insanely powerful when it has access to a large library of your images. It can also use that machine learning to generate spatial photos from your regular flat 2D photos. And you can also generate emojis based on simple descriptions. I know everybody's kind of laughing about this one because it seems like a silly application of AI, but this is the kind of thing I like. I like this starting point of like, look, there's no real harm here. It lets us communicate a little more openly, express ideas better, it's fun, and there's no risk of confusing anybody about whether it's real or not. It's just an emoji, so I really like this feature. There's a few examples of how Apple Intelligence would be different from third-party plugins like ChatGPT. The Apple AI will have access to your local data and keep it secure and sort of tie it all together, so your contacts, your notes, your calendar, I don't know what else, but can be tied together. Apple Intelligence is like small picture on device. Then the plugins, ChatGPT has global knowledge. This is a big LLM and it knows about the world. It knows about products, right? So you could ask it to tell you about different cameras and do travel research. That's one thing I've been using it for as well. I've been traveling. I'm like, oh, tell me about the city I'm in. And it can just like generate facts. Obviously, these are AI facts, so you kind of have to cross-reference them. But that's why I think Apple's kept a little bit of distance from these global LLMs like ChatGPT or whatever comes in the future, is they can keep it at arm's length and say, you know, if that goes off the rails, well, you're just kind of accessing information from the web. This isn't Apple approved info in any way. This just came from the internet. But this will get really good once we have more precise LLMs for your specific industry, maybe. So it's really great to see that Apple's thinking about their overall developer platform ecosystem here and not just what they are building themselves, because some of the most exciting things might come from third parties. In fact, it's pretty likely they will. Also, great news for Apple developers. Xcode will be getting code completion tools. Microsoft has had this for a while, so it's great to see it coming to the Mac. In iOS 18, you're going to be able to schedule texts to send them later. I think this is obvious to everybody why this is going to be useful. We can finally just completely lay out our iPhone app icons the way that we want. I've shown you guys hacks on how to get around this for years. No more hacks. You can fully customize it. Also, some of the updates to the control center look really nice. Those are going to be very useful. Like, I'm a big fan of all these things that we do use all the time. They may not be as exciting when you see the announcement, but it just does affect how you run your life on your mobile device. And a complete redesign of the Photos app. The actual way they move things around wasn't that exciting. I think some of the search they've implemented is much more exciting. AirPods Pro got head detection, which is kind of crazy that it's able to do that. So you could say yes or no by shaking, nodding, and not actually speaking out loud. I actually use my AirPods a lot to talk to Siri. I think most people don't because Siri's never worked that well. You can now assign whichever app you want to your lock screen, which is a big deal for third-party camera apps like Shoot in Log, but not to ProRes. By the way, that's one feature that didn't get announced today. It really bugs me. I want the native camera app to shoot Log, but not into giant ProRes files. I still am waiting for that to come. I'm looking at the Apple Watch. The Health app got a huge update to summarize your vitals. So this is like what's changed in your overall health recently. And I've been thinking about this because I've been tracking my workouts a lot more. Like, I didn't used to work out. I just started working out. I'm tracking it all with my Apple Watch. And I've always found that with the Health app, you have to know what you're looking for. It doesn't like bring forward interesting data. So I'm glad there seems to be some kind of summary page. Again, maybe that's the theme of this video, is useful summaries. The biggest applause of the whole day was when they announced Calculator for iPad.
We're bringing Calculator to iPad.
But I didn't expect they would actually make it really cool. So there's something called Math Notes where you can handwrite equations, complex equations, and it will solve them in real time in a handwriting similar to the way that you write. Now, I don't do complex trigonometry, but there is an app that's been out for a while called Solver, which would help you do equations. Like when you're stacking up additions and you want to make lists, there's certain ways of writing that work better than just punching numbers into a calculator. And it looks like Apple is addressing the need that Solver used to solve, now built into the system. So this is actually great, and I will be using this all the time. On the Mac, they have a new auto window tiling. This sounds small, but it looks very well executed. And I know like Windows has had things like this before. There's been other solutions, but this looked really elegant where you kind of bump the window into corners and it snaps into place. Apple has a new Passwords app available across all of their operating systems, which I love 1Password and I hope they don't go away. I hope they can still build a business after this, but it does make sense for this to be built in at an OS level because passwords are very important and I know regular people don't manage them very well. So anything that's going to help everyone have stronger passwords and better organize them is worth having. So I'm glad to see this built into the operating system. And Vision Pro, as of this recording, I still have not tried Vision Pro, but they announced the international releases are coming, especially to Canada soon. So I will be able to try it, maybe review it. I don't know what the level of interest is for right now since everybody's already had one for a while. So tell me, do you still want to know anything about the Vision Pro? I want to try one out at least for myself, if nothing else. The big announcement though, is you're now able to create for it. Canon announced an R7 lens. I don't know why the R7 can do this and not other Canons, but anyway, there is a specific lens that you can shoot spatial videos directly into that, so you can do professional productions. And if you want to do immersive videos, which is very different, spatial is like 3D, you can kind of look around the area. Immersive is 360 and you're inside the environment. That like immersive is the full Vision Pro experience. And Blackmagic announced a camera that can shoot exactly that, which makes a little more sense why they announced a sensor that can shoot 17K back at NAB. It's for the Vision Pro. I want to get my hands on this. I would love to shoot an immersive travel video. Hopefully I can get my hands on one of these somehow. There is a lot to process from today's announcements. And when we start playing with it, there's going to be even more. Like this will be one of the most expansive releases for iOS or all of the Apple platforms in years because we kind of don't even know all of the implications of it. So that's it. I will follow up once I've actually tried some of these tools, which hopefully will be soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.